the instructor for the Start Right Business English. Yes, Wayne Ludvigson here, instructor for the Start Right Business English. And this evening, I'd like to tell you a little bit about what we're doing, okay? And I think it will be interesting to you, and I hope exciting and motivate you to learn. Learning never ends, they say, and I'm a firm believer in that. So I've got a little PowerPoint here I'd like to show you, and I'll talk to you for about 30 minutes. We'll talk about how I developed Start Right and why and what it can do for you. Okay, let's see here. I've got a little, where do I go here? Oh, I got a little PowerPoint here. Okay, there we go. What is Start Right? Well, that's a very good question, and an honest question I'd like to answer for you. Let me tell you how I came up with Start Right and how it developed, because actually this is something that took 20, 25 years to develop. I'll tell you a little bit about my background. After all these years, let's see, 25 years. So for about 17 years, I'd been operating a freelance communications consultancy. I was doing training in a lot of companies, doing the copywriting, the content, helping with the managing of the marketing strategy and the marketing content. So I worked with, well over 100, 200 different companies, closely with their marketing communications and PR. So I got a real inside look on how they're working. And I should mention that all of these clients were given to me through personal referrals, through people who worked with me or with students. I mentioned students because for about, over 16 years now, I've also taught part-time business communications in the MBA program, which is highly accredited at the National Institute of Development Administration in Thailand, called NIDA. For over 15 years, I was a licensed oral examiner for the University of Cambridge. So I was going around giving interviews with people. I've held business licenses. So I've done a lot of sales, real estate, securities. That means mutual funds and life insurance and health insurance. So I've had quite a range in marketing and sales and business development. I've held many different positions, managing and leadership roles in those kinds of departments, large and small. In education, I've managed in education institutes, sales offices, property development. I was a director of communications for a while, and I helped to manage a couple small hotels as well. I also founded a teacher staffing agency in Thailand for a couple of years. That was a lot of fun. And I've been writing a lot too. Right now, I'm working on a book of advice for startups for managerial communications. Now, all these experiences with all of these companies, getting deep into the companies, seeing how they operate, seeing what was giving them success and how they operated well, it taught me one thing. The thing it taught me is that all business is based on communication. Okay. I think we can see that any kind of trade, any kind of exchange of goods and service, it always requires communication. Well, I want to help you understand this. So let's imagine, let's imagine a company where nobody spoke the same language, but it was a business where every employee was speaking a different language. Nobody could speak the same language together. I think there's even a biblical story about that. If you can imagine a situation like this in a company trying to operate, what you imagine is confusion. Okay. Departments can't talk to each other. People in the same department can't talk to each other. Marketing sales are going out, but they can't understand. Your customer service doesn't know what they're saying, and all kinds of confusion. So this is what I definitely saw. And when you have this kinds of situation, you get a lot of things that hold a company back. There's no consistency in the different people that are marketing it or trying to develop products. There's no brand voice is set. People have to go back and forth all the time. And this is the kind of thing that really encourages micromanagement, because there are no standards. The owners have to come back and look at them again and again and again. And that means that the customer service is going to vary according to the owner's mood, or if they're tired or whatever. And that's not the most effective way to run things. For the employees, it's not very clear to them because the expectations are not clear. The standards are not clear. They're submitting work all the time, but who's to say if it's good or bad? It all depends on the time and the person that they talk to or who their superiors are. In this kind of situation, schedules and plan can shift. Anytime where we have this campaign, now we have the other campaign. So you can see this is really not an effective way to do things, and it doesn't really create very much loyalty in the employees. Okay, and when the employees are on to a mission, when they're all believing in the mission, that makes a much more effective company. When you have a situation, 40-50% of the employees don't really understand what they're doing, how they are personally contributing to the mission, then they don't really know their own value. And that, of course, decreases productivity. These are all symptoms of poor communication. The long-term effects of this can be devastating to a company. It holds together for years, but what you have eventually is again, a lot of micromanagement because there are no standards. So we've got employees who are confused about their task or their role. They still don't know their value. They're losing confidence. Everything is slowing down because things have to be done and redone again. Negative feelings are created because people's work simply is never good enough. They can never really be proud of their work when they don't know what is expected. That does long-term damage to a company, to morale. People with talent don't want to stay there. As for the projects, well, they're usually done over and over, or not at all. They're slowing down, and all of this is going to have a terrible effect when you're dealing with clients, because obviously they're going to be getting things late or not at all, because things have to be redone all the time. What is the cause of all of this confusion? What is the cause of all this poor morale and this bad, well, it's poor communication? It always came down to one thing. There we go. Sorry, I'm having a little technical. It's coming down to poor technology in this case. Let's see here. Sorry about that. I'm having a little bit of a stall here. Oh, dear. Oh, my PowerPoint seems to be frozen there. Hold on a second. Let me start this up again. Okay. Hey, these things happen. Giving a perfectly seamless presentation, and that is giving information that's useful to people and helpful to people. This is a great opportunity in a way to teach a little something about always trying to be perfect. There's a lot said for mistakes. Yeah, let me try to start this again. There's a lot said for mistakes. Let's see here. Let me see if I get that going again. I guess I got a little video. That's what's holding it back. Okay. Well, it doesn't seem to want to work. I'm sorry about that, folks. In any case, I'm not going to keep you on the edge of your seat. The cause of poor communication is because, oh dear. Well, let's close that. This is sure turning into a wonderful presentation. Okay, look, we don't really need that. Let me just go back to natural style. Okay. Causes of poor communication? Well, it can be technology, but that's not really technology. Let's see here. It might be, maybe if there's a signal interruption, then okay, that happens. We've got to be prepared. Some people, believe it or not, there are times I've been giving presentations over all these years. There are times that I even say the wrong thing or make a mistake on purpose. And there's a reason I do that. There's a lesson in that. I'll probably talk about that in my course. You can make people feel a lot more comfortable sometimes when there are little mistakes. When things are so seamless and perfect, people can be intimidated. But anyway, let's see here. Let me okay. Pardon me if we have any technical difficulties. I was just about to talk to you about the reason for all this poor communication and all of these difficulties that a company can have that can really start to deteriorate the progress and the growth. What causes that? What causes the poor communication? Well, it's just one thing only. One thing only. That is neglecting to plan communications just as seriously, just as thoroughly as you would any other business process that's essential to your business. You make a marketing plan, you make some kind of business strategy, you have a plan for financing, whatever. All of those are essential. Well, guess what? Communications is just as essential. And I think I've shown that earlier by all the deleterious, all the bad effects that can happen when you're not really taking care of communications in the business. And so after seeing all this, this led me to say, well, I've been teaching all these courses and I want to expand now. Not merely in the company reaching now. I want to try to reach more companies. I want to reach businesses and small businesses and large businesses in countries and places where they're meeting a lot of challenges, trying to reach out and do business beyond borders. So having done that, we come down to some basic things about the Start Right program. Okay. We look for opportunities. Well, let's see. This poor communication is caused by a lack of business plan. Well, all right, that's understandable. So how can we set up good communication? Where do we establish good communication? Well, we look for the opportunities. We're going to find those in the main channels of communication. Okay, the main channels of communication. That's going to be emails. That's going to be in the presentations that you give internally and externally to your partners, to your clients, any other stakeholders. And it's going to be in the meetings that you hold with them and also internally. It's so important. We see organizations, so many organizations every day, they're using a lot of time and money in their marketing communications and their PR, reaching the world outside, and that's a very good thing. However, we must take a holistic view because no business can succeed long term without a holistic view of communications, customer service, investor relations, after sales service, relations with partners, relations maybe with the government, so many other angles, and also interdepartmental communications, of course. And that brings into the importance of internal communications, internal branding. People have to know why they're doing things, and what they're doing, and why they're doing things. And of course, they need to know how. And then they need to know with whom. So these are the kinds of things we want to set up. And in the standards of Start Right, I try to give you I do give you a model and a framework to do that, based again on all the things that I'd seen, observed, working with all of these companies and teaching in so many of these companies, helping to train their staff, training hundreds, thousands of entrepreneurs at the MBA program, seeing how that worked and helping out. Basically helping out lives as much as I can, because increasing or improving communications, whether in business or in our private lives, is a win-win. I truly believe that. This is something I'm very passionate about. And so I really feel fortunate in life that I've gotten the opportunity to learn so much about it and to be able to do something to improve that across the board for people, especially people that are entrepreneurs, small businesses. Over the past few years, we've seen a lot of struggling with small businesses, and this is one of the things. As soon as you start hiring, one person, communications has a major role. But of course, it does before that, because no business is going to reach anybody unless you have good communications. Even if you are one of these solopreneurs that you'll see advertised quite a bit nowadays, and that's an important thing. I think that we can all agree that small businesses do so much for communities on the ground roots level and then reaching up. Okay. Getting into a little bit more detail for you about the Start Right program. As I said, these are 4 modules, really: telephones, emails, presentations, and meetings. Each one of these we're bearing in mind this is being based on communication, and that a business can only be as good as its communication. And this has to happen everywhere at the same time. Okay, if you have simply great marketing but terrible internal communications, it's not going to work. If you have it the other way around, well, I'm afraid that's not going to work either. So we need to use this, as I keep saying, a holistic approach to communications. This is the healthy and long-term sustainable way to business growth, and to a word that's very popular nowadays: scaling your business. Well, of course. I think I've said before in some lectures, if you're financing, if your revenue, your financing, if the money is really the blood of your business, well, communications are the nervous system. This is what tells you how to move, where to move, when to move, and this is you need that, of course. Let's see, going over them. The telephone module, this can help quite a bit here. Let's see if my it's okay. Still got a little bit of a technical problem there with the telephones. We're doing a lot here. We're reaching out to people. Oh, I'm sorry. The first module that we start with in the Start Right program is the emails. And this is one of my favorite too, and it's one of the most requested subjects I've been asked to train on, because we're using emails all the time. There are many advantages to that. In fact, in this course, we'll cover the gamut. We'll talk about direct chats in social media. We'll talk about we'll even start to get into video chats a little bit here, like we're doing now, and we'll talk about emails, of course. Emails does a lot for a company. We're going to have clarity. We're going to have the whole company sharing the same standards. We're going to have simple standards that everybody can learn. It's not going to be too complex, because grammar is complex, but we want simple professional standards. When you have those, it's not going to matter very much if you've got a few grammar mistakes, because people enjoy and trust working with professionals. If you don't have those, even if you speak or write perfect English, if you don't have those, people are not going to trust or enjoy working with you. People like professional standards. That's what builds trust, and trust, as you should know by now, trust is what builds businesses. Okay, so this is what that does, and of course, there's a branding element in the emails as well, because we're choosing the standards that we want for our employees to relate together and to relate to the external contacts. Telephones are doing somewhat the same, but we're getting in a little bit more personal development for the or professional development for the staff, because this increases confidence and gives you standard ways to talk on the telephone. I'll probably touch on sales calls a little bit too, because I know how important that is. Next, we get into presentations. Speaking of sales, this is one of my favorite topics always to teach, because there's so much professional and even personal development involved in that. We're talking about this is a subject that improves your confidence, that really starts to build leadership, because every time you present, you are a teacher. If you were the lowliest employee in the biggest company in the world, and you were talking to the biggest boss in the world, and you were presenting, for that time that you are presenting, you are that individual's teacher. And getting people to realize this, and of course also learn to organize their presentations in an effective way, but getting people to realize this and come across with the presentation skills that can convey that sense that you're doing something helpful to people, just as a teacher should, that does wonders for people's development. The last topic is meetings, and this is kind of like teaching multi-channel presentations to many people at the same time. And here we're doing so many things for companies, because we're improving your communications. We're setting up the proper lines of communication, giving you suggestions with a meetings charter, how people can be doing that, who should be involved, what the people that are attending a meeting should be doing once they are involved, who to invite, helping companies make better decisions. Okay, this really can revolutionize a business. When the leadership of a company really buys into it and adopts it, this works the kind of transformation that takes a company from operating in a small mom and pop micromanaged way, where every single decision has to be growing, and you're actually giving the ground for professionals to develop right in your own company. And that's what communications can do. That's what it does in our personal lives, and that is what it does in our